Hi, this is Ian Williams for V3, and I'm here with Ken Deeks, one of the founders of Byte Night, a charity event held every year to raise money for youth homelessness. Ken, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Tell us, let's start with the basics. Let's start with how you came about to find Byte Night and really what the mission is behind it.
Okay, well the Byte Night is probably the largest charity event for the IT industry. And why the IT industry? Well, it actually started back in 1998 when the IT industry was obsessed with the millennium bug. The IT industry was making a lot of money out of the millennium bug. And about that time, Action for Children, who were then known as NCH, one of the UK's, well, the largest children's charity in the UK, they were running a programme, a really strong campaign to end youth homelessness by the year 2000. So I actually saw a poster on the tube, and I just saw Y2K, and at that time I was running a PR company which specialised in the IT industry. So I thought, well, this is something to do with the millennium bug, and it wasn't. It was to do with, perhaps a greater issue, a more important issue, perhaps. And that was about ending youth homelessness. And so it occurred to me that I had a bunch of clients in the IT sector who were making lots of money out of a Y2K deadline, and here was a charity that needed much needed funds for their own Y2K deadline. So the idea was born. We approached the charity, we approached Action for Children, and we said, look, why don't we put on some kind of event where we can get the support of the IT industry, and we came up with the idea of a sleep out, getting some very senior, well-heeled people in the IT industry to sleep out for one night under the stars, and to get sponsorship and raise money for Action for Children. So we had our first event in 1998. We had 33 people turn up, and we stood around in a field for a while, and then we went to sleep. And actually at 4 o'clock in the morning, it was cold and it was damp and it was pretty miserable, and we experienced homelessness just for one night. And we're not pretending that it's anything other than a symbolic experience, but it was kind of unpleasant, and we raised about £30,000 from that one night, and we thought, well, okay, let's keep it going. And we've been running it now we're coming up for our 11th year. Over the 10 years that Byte Night has been running, we've raised well over £2 million now for Action for Children. Last year we had about 350 people sleeping out in London. And we raised close to £500,000 just from that one event. The London event is, like I say, has about 350 people. We sleep in Pottersfield. We're allowed a sleeping bag, but that's about it.
Right, and I mean, so it's grown massively, and the support has grown massively over the last decade. But now we're facing really tough times. The IT industry is not immune to that. There've been countless cuts and budgets and redundancies. Are you worried about that with this upcoming this year's Byte Night? I
think that's a really good question, Ian, and there is a concern. Last year we were worried about the level of support that we would get because we'd entered the recession at that point in October of last year. But we were really pleased with the response that we had. We also started a couple of regional events just to spread the opportunity, if you like. And this year, we've got events in London, in Reading, for the Thames Valley, in Edinburgh, I'm going to miss somebody out, in Manchester, Newcastle and Birmingham. I think that's all the locations. And so we're going to have people spread about around the UK raising money. But we are worried. The issue that we have, and the real challenge for us, is that homelessness is often an even greater issue during troubled times. Families come under more strain. It's another mouth to feed. You often see charities will often tell you that more people or more young people are forced out of their own homes during a period of recession. So, the irony is that in a recession, we need the support more than ever. But there is no doubt that it will be tougher to get that support because people are clearly, perhaps more worried about themselves and about their own livelihoods, and rather than perhaps thinking about other causes.
Now, I actually slept out last year for the first time, and I have to admit it was an incredible experience. it was, you know, you kind of feel privileged. You know, we started off with having a really nice dinner first, and you know, sort of got us a chance to warm ourselves up first before heading out there and really spending the night. And it was freezing cold, despite having a pretty good sleeping bag. But I know recently you took it to the next level. You actually spent an entire night out sleeping properly rough and with just a $5 to your name, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Ian. It was an incredible experience. I mean, Byte Night is a wonderful experience in that you do experience homelessness, but you're with 349 other people, and you have that great sense of camaraderie and that great sense of achievement. And I've spoken to a number of homeless people, and that sense of achievement and things like that is something they don't have in their lives. And so yes, I spent the night. I was given a $5 because apparently if you're homeless and you go to social services or whatever, they give you a $5 for the evening, and that's what you have to get some food. So I had £5 to see me through the night, and at first it was a bit of a fun. I had a stroll around, and I had a cameraman with me. Okay, so we're not pretending that I was completely on my own. But I think there were two things. One, we agreed that the cameraman wouldn't really engage with me. So to a certain extent, I experienced some loneliness. I did it for a day and a night. It also dragged. Ian, you know, you just cannot believe how long the day and the night became. You know, I was trying to get to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you'd be in a doorway and you'd fidget around and you'd move around and you think, well, that, you know, it must be nearly 6 o'clock now and it'd be 2:30. You know, the days and the nights just really, really dragged. And so there was a real sense of loneliness and hopelessness. And I have to say, quite frightening at times. You know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, there could be some individuals on the street that you don't necessarily want to meet, and particularly in some of the areas where we were trying to find a quiet place to get to sleep. And it was a very, very, very unpleasant experience. I was really glad when that day was over. And like I say, I'm not trying to pretend that it's the same as being home, because, you know, I knew that by 10 o'clock in the morning, I'd be home, back to my family, a nice warm bath, and, you know, you know, obviously people that are permanently homeless, you know, clearly don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but, you know, if you had that just on a single night, then clearly that sensation is just amplified massively for those people who just have no end in sight necessarily, or don't know, you know, when they're next going to have to be able to go to any kind of shelter or have a warm place to sleep.
I think that's a great observation. I think what it taught me, and having spoken to a number of people that have been homeless, they say the one thing is just that hopelessness, that feeling that you're never going to get out of this situation, this feeling that you're just going to be homeless for the rest of your life and that you can't see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel. And that must be the most awful experience you could ever have. And I think that's why Action for Children, you know, I think that we raise money for a very good cause here, and I've seen the work that Action for Children does, and the work they do is phenomenal in helping to take, you know, teenagers, you know, children off the streets and giving them a place to stay, a place where they can have, get some kind of love and care about what they're doing, because that's the other thing that they miss. Having spoken to them, they just get the feeling that nobody cares. Yeah. And you imagine having your life thinking that nobody cares about you. What an awful, empty feeling that must be.
Absolutely. So Ken, if there are people watching this who don't know about Byte Night but want to get involved now, where can they go?
Well, the obvious place is the website, which is www.bytenight.org.uk. And I think all the information is on there. It talks about the regional events. It talks about it provides you with, you know, starter packs, how to get support, how to get sponsorship, how to sign up, how to register, everything. So everything's there on the website, including details of all the different regional events.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Ken, and I look forward to sleeping out again with you this year, October 2nd, right in the middle of the cold season, but definitely well worth it. And for all of you watching out there, I hope you guys all encouraged to get involved in Byte Night, either get involved yourself or sponsoring somebody else who is. And thank you very much.